Good morning and welcome to Presentation Sells. This is the 5 biggest home improvement money spinners webinar, and I have to tell you that you're actually on the cutting edge here. This program has never been shown anywhere in the world before, and information hasn't been shown in this format anywhere in the world. So I hope you're very comfortable out there on the cutting edge. I just want to give you a little bit of a disclaimer, because obviously we're not presenting a business opportunity. You know, there's no distributorship, no income that you can earn. It's not a quick opportunity. It is really for information and educational purposes only. If you want some professional advice, then talk to your lawyer, your accountant, and your real estate agent will be able to help you. So here we go. You're on this webinar, obviously, if you're a homeowner and, you know, you really want to sell your home for the best price and you dislike the thought of strangers poking through your personal items. You really want to get your family safely through the selling process, and you want to do everything you can to afford your new home. And, of course, you want to have enough time to do it all. So what we're going to discover today is the top 5 home improvement money spinners and the return on investment from each. So I'm going to show you how to use each of them in your own home to get the best sale price, and a step-by-step guide to show you how we've achieved these results, what you need to do now in time for your first or next open, as well as what else you can do to unlock the gold in your home and get it sold. Just to give you a bit of a background on myself, I'm a property stylist, and when I first staged my first home, I really had no idea of what I was doing. And it seems like I made every mistake in the book. And it wasn't until I rejected a number of lowball offers that my very straight-talking real estate agent told me exactly what changes I needed to make, well, in his opinion, to present my home for sale. So I followed his lead, and even as a complete novice, my home staging efforts ended up making $18,000 in just 3 weeks. And that was in 2008. And after that, I got really serious about the potential of making money out of property. And I studied with some of the best in my country and overseas. As an investor, I went into hundreds of open homes looking for opportunities to discount. And sadly, I found many. When the bottom fell out of the real estate market, obviously it wasn't a good time for buying and selling properties. But it was obvious that home sellers really needed help, and it gave me the opportunity to start my own home staging business. Since then, I've helped hundreds of occupied home sellers make between $20,000 and $75,000 more, either than their agent expected or more than the best offer prior to selling. So they're just the ones that we can actually quantify. And I've done that with clients using my own brand of occupied home presentation that builds upon their existing furniture and furnishings. So to get top results, I had to create a step-by-step home presentation system that I follow each time I present a home for sale. Then out of the blue, I was given international recognition. And now, after all these years of helping home sellers to get the best results, I've started Presentation Sells. And it's a do-it-yourself, step-by-step guide how to unlock the gold in your home for sale. And it's been about 2 years in the making, so I'm very excited to be here with you on the cutting edge today. So let's jump right in. And for those of you who want to take it further, don't worry, we'll have an opportunity at the end. So this information is based on the Homegain survey, and every year over a 10-year period, from 500 to 2,000 agents across the US responded to the survey each year. So here's their list of top DIY home improvements. And this is for sellers, and it's based on the return on investment. So that's what ROI means there. So I'm just going to quickly go through what we have here, and I'll go into a more in-depth explanation of these projects and the home improvements themselves as we go on. So as I said, ROI means return on investment. So if you spend $100 on cleaning and decluttering, you would make your $100 back plus an extra $400. And it's recommended by 99% of agents. With lighting and brightening, that returns 300%. So again, spend $100, make your $100 back and get an extra $300. And that's recommended by 96% of agents. The repair and electrical, I don't really know a lot about this area or about landscaping, but they obviously have a great return on investment and they're highly recommended by agents. And we also have staging, which has an almost 200% return on investment, but isn't supported by as many agents. So I'm going to go through that with you as well and show you why that might be a little bit later on. They also have their own disclaimer, which really talks about, things like price and percentages and ways of doing things obviously vary from region to region, state to state, country to country. So not all agents will agree on everything, but and there's differences between regions and different parts of the US. And we also obviously have differences ourselves. So our top 5 is actually based on a top 10 list. And the reason I'm showing you that is because what I've done is I've brought together areas of this top 10 list where I actually have some expertise and I'm able to give you a bit more depth and a bit more knowledge. As I said, things like electrical and plumbing and landscaping and kitchen and bathroom renovations, while I have some experience dealing with those trades, I really don't have a great deal of knowledge for you as far as presenting your home for sale goes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you my top 5. So this is my top 5 are cleaning and decluttering, lightening and brightening, painting inside and out, doing the carpets and flooring, and home staging. And here we call it property styling. So I'll explain all of that to you as we go along. So with cleaning and decluttering, what they recommend in the survey is that you can see our room's quite cluttered, and they recommend that we remove personal items. But when you remove personal items, you don't want to totally depersonalize the room. You actually want to keep the personality of that room. If you take out everything that's personal, you can really destroy that real connection that people can have with the home. So then washing and cleaning, obviously you want to make sure that's really important to everything. It's the basis of what we do. As a stylist, when I go into a home that's dirty, that's unfortunate. We do what we can to help, but it's really important that these basics are done beforehand because people will notice and they'll feel it and you'll feel better about it as well. So it's a great thing to do. Freshening, obviously, this is talking about air freshening. I've worked with the asthma foundations in my country. So I know that you have to be particularly careful about scents and making sure that if you use any air freshening or scents, that it's not going to be something that's going to make people feel unwell. With regard to removing clutter, this is obviously really important to make sure there's not a lot of junk around. And also for your personal safety, you want to make sure that there's not personal items around, personal papers, things that people are going to see that are really none of their business. The other thing too is your bookcase, anything that you have, especially if it's a part of the fixtures and fittings of the home, you really need to make sure that they're organised. And I always recommend about 2/3 to 3/4 full. You don't want them totally full of things. It doesn't make the house more interesting to have more interesting books on the shelf, but it does make it seem lighter and brighter if you can reduce those. And especially if you have things on the shelves that are actually of interest to your target market. And we'll talk a bit more about that later too. Of course, dusting and polishing is really important as well, just before the open, especially if you're having an open in the afternoon. Certainly where I live, the beautiful afternoon sun comes in through the windows and every speck of dust can be seen on every piece of glass in the room. So always a good one to do just before an open. So you can see in the after shot, we've still got the bookcase, we've still got the art, we've got the buffet, we've got the window. We've obviously repurposed the room, but we've certainly simplified the area and made it very clean and clear to people what the purpose of this room is. It's a younger boys' room that we've created from this, but very simply, we haven't really gone into overkill with giving that idea or impression. So here's a decluttering rule. It's a rule of thumb. It's the melon rule. If it's smaller than a melon, pack it away because it will make your photos look cluttered. And what we have, if you like that one, you can share that later. Let me just tell you that this home actually made $20,000 above the agent's expected price prior to styling, and they sold it 2 weeks later. This one is our feature home today, and this is the one that had 4 offers in 4 days and sold on day 5. So you can see there's nothing particularly special about this particular home, but except for the work that the owner put into making sure that it was all perfect. Our survey recommends opening the windows, cleaning the windows, obviously, and this is a really good one to do about 24 hours before you take your photos. So certainly here, that's a good tip. Even if it rains overnight, oh well, you can't do much about that, but it's better to have them done on the day of photos than be waiting for a cleaner who doesn't turn up or having any problems then. Obviously, with opening your windows, you want to make sure that it's safe to do so and that it's prudent, that there's no bugs, it's not too hot or steamy or any problem, or too cold or any problems like that. So always do these things based on what you know of your home and your area. Remove the curtains or remove older curtains. Certainly, you don't want to remove all of your curtains. If you've got great curtains, great. What I recommend, though, in some homes is to use sheer curtains. And the reason for that is that they really soften that window space, and they can really help if you've got something like a really rusty roof on the next home or just not a particularly attractive outlook. You can bunch up all your sheers and get a really soft light coming through that window without losing the amenity of the whole space. Then removing obstacles. We actually took these bars off the windows of this home because they really didn't need them. And so it really opened it up and brought the outside in, which is what we do a lot in this part of the world. Repair your lights. Make sure you've got good bulbs. They're all in good working order and that can see well in the space. And you want to make sure that your windows open easily. So this is our room afterwards, and what we've done is we've added a mirror which will reflect the light and lighten up the space, as well as obviously lit the area from above. We've cleaned all the windows, we've pruned outside, we've allowed as much natural light to come into the room, as well as ensuring additional sources of light. We've even put a little lamp in the corner by the bedside. We haven't changed the bed linen in this room, but we've just added some cushions and a couple of small accessories, and really they're the main changes that we've made. As I said, this home had 4 offers in 4 days and sold on day 5. So, and that not in a great time for selling homes, so it was even better for the owner. And our takeaway from this is that 83% of buyers use photos to decide which homes to visit, to view. So professional photos will bring buyers to your door. And if you get your windows cleaned the day before professional photos are taken, that'll be a great tip for selling well. And that's our shareable today. And so we go on to painting and flooring. Now in this home, this is actually my family home. My mum passed away at the start of last year, and I had the great privilege of being able to prepare and present her home for sale. So you can see that, pardon me, there was a bit of work that needed to be done in the home even before we could start styling. So we needed to make sure that the walls and the floors were all looking fabulous. So we put a fresh coat of paint on, and this is obviously what our survey is saying, repairing leaks, and this was something that we had to do in the ceiling. We replaced the carpets, and what you see now is the afters, and we have obviously much fresher, lighter and brighter home. We've moved in some other furniture, but we did keep a fair bit of what they had as well. So we've obviously changed the carpets, and it's just refreshed and lightened the space. And our takeaway from that one is that if you paint your ceiling fan blades, if you can, the same colour as the ceiling, then it really just lightens and freshens them, especially if they're older ones and you can't afford to change them. So paint is the most cost-effective way to refresh a room or a home. And it can be done by anyone. This is what I love about painting, is doesn't matter what your budget is. You can do it for a few $100s, or you can pay someone else to do it for a few $1,000s. So I should tell you, my family home went for $45,000 above what the agent predicted prior to all of our presentation activities. So it really does work, and it really does make a difference. And this photo actually came from Google Maps, and you can see the colour of the sky and the colour of the house. And our survey recommends that we put fresh paint the window frame, paint the fence. And so what we did was we did as suggested, and we interchanged the sky colour and the house colour. So the good gods were smiling on us that day. So we painted, obviously. And my suggestion for the exterior of the home is use 2 or 3 paint colours for depth of field. And what I mean by that is that we use a different paint for the floorboards and the risers and the hand railings. We'll use a darker colour on those. We'll use can be a lighter or a deeper colour for the actual front of the home. And then for the trims and doors and things like that, we might use a gloss in the same colour, or we might use another colour that tones in with our overall theme. We've used the 2 colours on the right. Now they look grey in that picture. In fact, one is beige, the lighter colour is beige, and the other one is green. It's bushland. So we've gone with something very neutral, but you can see how white it looks in the full sun. So with colour, it's a really interesting area, and in most paint shops, you can actually find either a colour consultant or someone who's got a real depth of knowledge about paint in your area. So if you take photos of your home, and then you'll be able to get some expert advice from a local who understands what your needs are, especially when you're selling the home. And it's different when you're selling the home to when you're painting to live in. Everything is different with selling your home. It's a marketing exercise, not a decorating exercise. So on to staging and styling. And when people talk about home staging, what they're actually referring to is visually marketing your home by using accessories and decorating to refresh and really change the presence of your home. So to really target the people who are going to be living there rather than yourselves. I went to our friends, we've got some partners at neighbours.com, and it's a lot of fun going to neighbours.com because you can create a room from scratch online. And what I really wanted to do here was build a room that the afters responded to the recommendations of our survey. A word of warning, you can spend as long in Neighbours rearranging a room as you can actually physically rearranging your own room. So, don't get too caught up there. So this is our room beforehand. And this is our room afterwards. And what they suggested was fresh flowers, bring in accessories, rearrange the furniture. Oh, look, we pulled up the carpet and we found beautiful floorboards underneath. Decluttering, just making the whole area softer, bringing in accessories and bringing in light into the space. And as opposed to our previous picture, I'd just like to welcome you to your new home. They also suggested soft music. Now that you've been into those 10 to 20 disorganised, dysfunctional homes for sale, now you've come to this oasis, the place where your family can live, where you can love each other, where you can be kinder to each other, where you can relax and let go of all of the things in the outside world, where you really have somewhere that is safe for you and your family. So you can see the different feeling that you get from the staged room as opposed to this room before it was staged. We did change the lounge, one of the lounges, and added a rug and changed a few items, added some accessories and items, but we didn't do a lot to change this room. Obviously the artwork, but it's not that much different, but it's a world away from what we had previously. In America, we have information that is over a 10-year period, between 500 and 2,000 agents agree on it. I just wanted to talk a little bit about how we view property styling in this country and what the percentages are for us. And the top agents in the LJ Hooker group, actually, they did a survey of them and 96% agreed that property styling boosted final sale price from 7.5% to 12.5%. So what does that mean? Oh, by the way, no representation of average earnings or anything like that, just giving you some figures based on what the agents have said. So for a $500,000 home, the cost of styling might be between $5,000 and $7,500, and the return on investment is between $37,500 and $70,000, or a 650% return on investment. So when we look at our figures for our top money spinners, because what we're looking at today is money spinners, so we want to know based on our list rather than what the return on investment is from the cost price. We really want to know in dollar terms, what does that actually mean when we sell our home? So we've looked at cleaning and decluttering. I just used a price of $250, and based on our 403% return, it will give us $2,000 back. Then lightening and brightening, again, for your $300, you get a $1,500 return on sale. The painting, if you spend $10,000, that's for inside and outside, you'll get $20,000 back. Carpet and flooring, again, spend $5,000, get $13,000 back. Now, these figures really are just estimates of a $500,000 home in my area, but they could be vastly different in different areas and obviously in different parts of the world. So again, spend $5,000 on staging and you make between $15,000 and $70,000 based on both the American and the Australian figures. So what we've actually learnt so far today is that your home for sale is filled with gold if you're willing to mine it. So not all of it is the fun stuff or what we consider to be the fun stuff, but it's actually a lot of fun once you've done it all, of course, and once you've prepared your home. And so I changed the order of our list a bit because home staging and styling actually goes to the top of the list or close to the top of the list with painting, which is a fantastically cost-effective way of improving the dollar value of your home. Carpets and flooring, again, another good one. But any of these things, if you can't afford to do it or are unable to, don't stress. That's the best I can say. You have to do the best that you can do with what you've got at the time. And of course, if there are problems, you can always bring in a professional to help you in every area. Again, cleaning and decluttering and lightening and brightening, these things all bring in a dollar value. And I haven't included changing the curtains in the lightening and brightening. So you're not getting a whole new set of expensive curtains. So again, these figures are not a representation of earnings, but they give you an idea based on our survey, based on what professionals in the real estate industry over a 10-year period have said, that these things make a difference and make a great dollar difference to your home. I mean, my question is, why do so few home sellers and agents present their homes properly? And there's kind of a consensus that staging is good, that it brings in a higher dollar value, that you can really make your home stand out because not everybody stages their homes, and that there's really only a few $1,000s may need to be spent on your home to get it right. But in Sydney, and this is in 2010, 25% of homes in Sydney were being styled. And I would even argue that it was probably less than that, because they would be homes in a particular price range in particular areas. So when I first looked into this, why do so few sellers actually style their homes or present them properly? I thought perhaps it was because we were risk averse, that we were worried about taking the gamble. But then I realised that Australians spend over $1,000 each year on poker machines and lottery tickets and things that are going to win them something, whereas in fact, staging may be one of the most lucrative projects you can undertake. And let's face it, we're looking at, on average, about a 3-month time frame. I don't know what that time frame is in your area, but certainly in my area, 3 months is a fairly good amount of time to be prepared to have your home staged for. Sometimes it's less, sometimes it's more, as I say. So then what is it? If it's not that we are risk averse, and we've already seen that if you spend $5,000, you can make $32,000 in 3 months, potentially. So home presentation is really like your lottery ticket. You're buying the lottery ticket, and it's a lottery that you can help control, that you can actually make changes and make differences in, so that your home sells faster and for more money. And that money then allows you to create the lifestyle, or more of the lifestyle, that you want in your home. And why would you not? Except that, here's what I think. We don't think it's going to be fun. There's a lot of things to consider when you're styling your home for sale and when you're presenting your home for sale. And when I speak about home presentation as opposed to staging and styling, what I mean is that holistic approach, from the cleaning and decluttering to the high-end, bringing furniture in and making real changes to the home. It's the whole package. So it's not just one area of home presentation. But there's a lot to think about. We tell you to think of your home as a product, but in fact, these sort of things are really hard to do when you've lived in a home for a long time. Your children have grown up in it. It's part of your family. It's part of your history. The other thing too is that TV, the role of TV shows, home renovating shows and things like that, is entertainment and product placement. They are never ever a how-to guide on how to style or present your home for sale. And in fact, the most naive person on the show is always the home seller or the person doing the styling. And so it's quite daunting for people who are about to put their homes on the market, and they worry about different aspects of home presentation. And it's really hard to see the gold in your own home for sale when you're worried about these things, about the financial future of your family and those sorts of things. So what we want to be able to do is have a system where we can start to be able to see the gold, because we plan and prioritise our activities. We have a step-by-step guide on how to prepare and present your home for sale, that you have expert support and you're part of a community of people who are doing the same thing, who can all help you, as well as, rather than being concerned with cost as such, you're really going to learn how to evaluate the marketplace and decide whether what you're doing is cost effective and worthwhile in your area, in your budget, for your target market. And these are really important issues and things to be aware of. But in fact, as I said, you're sitting on the cutting edge, because so few home sellers are actually aware of these things. So let me tell you the story of Sabrina. Sabrina was a lady Sabrina in the centre was a lady who had 2 weeks to prepare and present her home for sale. She had 10 days of torrential rain, and she had a lot of detractors, a lot of vocal detractors in her street who told her that she was wasting her time and money presenting her home. And I've got to tell you that I love it when the vocal detractors become the silent majority at the end of the day, because they get very silent when there's a great result. And Sabrina had a great result. She attracted 4 offers in 4 days by preparing and presenting her home. The Sabrina on the left-hand side, Audrey Hepburn, starred in a film called Sabrina, obviously. And she was the daughter of the Larrabee family chauffeur, and she went off to school and came back as a beautiful, sophisticated woman. And the reason that she's here is to remind us that preparing and presenting your home is really no different from preparing and presenting ourselves for our lives. And myself, I'm on the right. I'm the stylist who helped Sabrina in the middle present her home and completely stole the stool-sitting idea from Audrey Hepburn on the left. Marie, do you have any questions?
The first question I had is, early on you were talking about the work that you did and the dollars that came back to that particular client. Aussie dollars the same as US dollars?
No, sometimes they are, but not at the moment. At the moment, well, I can tell you that probably what you would pay for something in the US, we would pay double for it here. So you might have a cleaner come in for a particular price and we would probably pay twice as much for our painting, all of those things. The exchange rate when I was over in the US was about 75 cents in the dollar. So when I gave $100, I got $75 back, 75 US back.
Okay. The only reason I ask is it helps put the numbers that you were quoting on the other houses in perspective.
Yes. With the homes, they were all at different price points, to be honest, and in different areas. Some of them, with the little blue house that we had, we made $235,000 more than the agent had quoted prior to the presentation of the home. So that was $1 million beforehand. And you look at that house and it's hard to see $1 million in it, but it was in $1 million area. And it was an entry-level home in a really high-end suburb. And so it was a sought-after area. And we had a brilliant agent. The agents were fantastic. So there was an auction at another home, and so they had their first open straight after the auction of a comparable home happened. So all of those people who were at the auction for one home came to our home, and if they'd missed out on the first one, they were wanting to buy the home that we presented. And
sure.
Yeah, so you understand all these things. So, but you can really see the difference in the different areas. Some you're going to make a really powerful impact, and in some areas you're not.
No, it was, it absolutely, it just was, as I said, that was a funny thing because I don't understand. I didn't know if there was a difference in exchange rate, and I couldn't think of anything else except, is there a difference in exchange rate? No, that's okay. Well, those are still very impressive numbers, and that was quick too.
It was, yeah. It is quick, and I think I have to say it's probably here. It's because so few people, they're starting to now, but traditionally so few people have actually presented their homes well. That when one is well presented, it stands out and people really want it.
It's good to be us.
It's good to be us, that's right. And it's good to be our clients, and it's good to be our webinar clients as well. So there's a lot of great things that we can do for people here, obviously. And one of the big questions that I get and I've heard is, why should I spend any money on my home for sale? Hopefully we've been able to answer that question today, because as you've just pointed out, it's the return on investment, or the potential for return on investment. You know, it's the lottery ticket. If you do what you need to do, and if you're on a tight budget or time poor and you really need to to be doing it yourself, then there are ways that you can do that. If you need a professional, then there's some really, really great professionals around, like Marie and myself, who can help you to do that. So then I want to talk to you just a bit about, because I promised that I would tell you about what else you can do to unlock the goal. So what I want to know is, are you determined to sell your home for the best price? Are you motivated to sell your home faster? Do you have a limited budget? Are you time poor? Or do you really want to fly blind like everyone else is? You know, people sell their homes on average every 7 to 12 years. So it's really hard for you to know everything about the property market, and it's really hard for you to know who you can trust when you put your home on the market.